First of all, I would like to offer my most humble salutations at the holy lotus feet of my beloved Lord, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and Shirdi Baba. They are both one and the same. And I have to make a confession here that my first love was always Sri Sathya Sai Baba. And it is with his grace that he led me to Shirdi as well and showed me that there really is no difference between Shirdi Sai and Sathya Sai. Now, we all, the devotees of Sri Sathya Sai Baba, without an iota of a doubt, we all know that the previous avatar was Shirdi Sai. But some of us have our reservations in terms of avatarhood, who we resonate to most. So I always resonated to Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. And I have been going to Puttaparthi, for many years and have been in Swami's divine presence quite a number of times. But we all know that he took Mahasamadhi in April of 2011. So the first time I went to Parthi after Swami taking Mahasamadhi was in December of 2012. So before I left, I don't know why, well, shouldn't say I don't know why. Everything is, when you surrender yourself to the divine, he takes over. Everything is planned by him. So before I left for Parthi in December, I had this very strong inclination to go to Shirdi as well. So I was trying to make arrangements to go to Shirdi, and going to Parthi alone, I did not want to travel to Shirdi by myself. I did not want to take the plane to Bombay and then go Mumbai and go via that route. I wanted to depart from Puttaparthi on train. I wanted to see the countryside. So I was in a bit of a dilemma, and I thought, how would I go by myself? And then it registered that a Sai brother from Edmonton, he's quite an elderly gentleman who's retired and who spends a few months of the year in Parthi, and he goes to Shirdi quite a bit. So I got in touch with brother Larry and asked him, if he would be willing to take me to Shirdi. He said, yes, absolutely. So anyway, getting the ticket was a challenge at that time because, ticket reservations are done months ahead. I won't go into how he acquired the tickets. Initially, it was a huge challenge, and he knew which person to contact and where this person would get the tickets for us. So we eventually did get the tickets. And so I arrived in Parthi. So after my third day, we were supposed to depart for Shirdi. So, of course, the first day in darshan, sitting in front of the Mahasamadhi, having this inner dialogue with Swami, and my eyes glued to his chair every time morning arati and evening arati was being done. My eyes were just glued to his chair, because before I left, I had heard that, even though Swami has left his mortal coil, he can appear in front of people if he wishes to. And I had heard that certain devotees had seen his physical form actually seated on that chair. So anyway, I just yearned and I prayed and I yearned so much. I said, Swami, even for a few seconds, even for a second, please allow me to see your physical form seated on that chair. Well, it never happened. It didn't. So on the third day, we departed for Shirdi, and we left Wednesday night. We arrived there Thursday afternoon. So went to the hotel, we went to our rooms and changed, and then went for the afternoon darshan. Well, it was long, a big Thursday. The lineup was so long. It was just unbelievable. Spent over an hour in that queue and finally got inside the mandir. I was so exhausted that as I entered the mandir, there was some elderly ladies sitting, by the entrance. So I just sat there. Then a Sevadal immediately came to me and said, Madam, please don't sit here. Go right in the center of the hall. So the Sevadal took me and showed me where to sit. So I sat right in the center, few rows from the Samadhi. And there's a divider, and my lap was literally touching a man's lap. That's how tight it was. So anyway, I straightened my sari and I looked up, and straight in front of me was, the figurine, the statue of Shirdi Sai. And I just bawled my eyes out. My tears wouldn't stop. My eyes were just glued to his face. And all of a sudden, all I could see was this flash of light just darting towards me. And I was just in another world. I was just mesmerized and didn't realize what a deep connection I had. But anyway, after Aarti, when devotees get up and pay their respects and go to the Samadhi to put the flowers, I actually had bought a bouquet of flowers and I wanted to place it on the Samadhi. But I know in Shirdi, they don't allow you personally to put flowers on Shirdi. You have to give it to the priests that are standing there, and they'll place it on the Samadhi. But that being Thursday, it was so hectic. And when it was time for our little group to go to the Samadhi, there were ladies in front of me, ladies behind me, ladies on both sides of me. And we all had our hands outstretched with a bouquet of flowers. And this one particular priest, for some reason, he was just looking at me. He made eye contact with me, and I kept staring at this priest. And as we all were reaching with a bouquet of flowers, this priest who had made eye contact with me, with all several hands reaching to the priest, he picked my bouquet of flowers first. He placed it on the Samadhi. And I just stood there with my hands folded and eyes closed. I don't know how long I stood there. It seemed like eternity. And then someone tapped me on the back and said, "Madam, please move." And I thought to myself, how selfish of me, because there are so many that want darshan, and I'm just standing at one spot. So how selfish of me. So then I moved away and I went outside. When I went outside the mandir, Brother Larry was waiting out there for me. And he looked at me and he said, "Sarojini, what's wrong with you? You look like you are in another world." And I said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "I really do not want to talk. Can we please go back to the hotel? I want to be in my room. I just want to be in silence for about 15 to 20 minutes, because we had planned that after darshan, we'll just go across the street to that mall and go to the food court and have a bite to eat." So I said, "I don't feel like eating right now. I just want to be alone for 15, 20 minutes in my room." So he respected that. He said, "Sure, you go and just be by yourself for whatever time you want." So after 20 minutes, I changed my sari. I put on, a salwar kameez, and I went downstairs to the lobby, and he was in the lobby waiting for me. So then we went to that mall and we had our food at the food court. And then I said, while we are at this mall, I'd like to buy a few things for my sister-in-law who lives in Calgary. So I bought a few things for her. And when I paid for the stuff, the shopkeeper gave me a few packets of udi, Baba's udi, because it didn't click when we were inside the mandir grounds. It didn't occur to us that we should go get some udi. So the shopkeeper gave us some udi. He gave me several packets, and he gave some to Brother Larry. And then Brother Larry said to the shopkeeper, "Could you please give me a few more, because some of my friends in Puttaparthi would like to have some." And he said, "No, I'm sorry. I just have a limited supply for my customers. If you want it, you have to go back to the mandir and stand in the udi line and get your udi." So Brother Larry said to me, "Will you come into the mandir grounds with me?" I said, "Sure, I will." So when we went back into the mandir grounds, the queue for the oud to get the udi was so long. So I said to Brother Larry, "Your friends want the udi. I got my udi. Why don't you go stand on the udi line and get your udi?" So he went, and I stood underneath this huge tree. So as I'm standing still under that tree, a voice within me says, "Turn around." And I thought, what is this inner voice telling me to turn around? I ignored it. So the second time that voice again said, "Turn around." I thought, what is this? Who is this? And I thought, I was just watching the memorabilia, people, thousands of people, on the mandir compound, and people selling stuff. So I was just watching that. Now the third time, the same voice very sternly within me said, turn around. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is this? I have to turn around. I turned around, and there was Shirdi Sai standing right in front of me. He was so tall. He was over 6 feet tall. His eyes were just sparkling. It was gleaming. And he was dressed in white. He had that white bandana. I could see the knot at the side of the neck. And he had this white robe, which was just a couple of inches above his ankle. I could see his feet. And I was mesmerized. I was dumbstruck. I could not utter a word. And he was only looking at me and not saying anything. To me, it seemed like eternity. But I was only 3 feet away from him. So I got a little bit bolder and I moved a step towards him. So as I moved towards him, he lifted a hand and showed me his hand in Abhayahasta. And then I moved a few inches closer. Then he placed his hand on top of my head. Then immediately I knelt down and touched his feet and took Padma Namaskar. And after taking Padma Namaskar, as I was gently getting up, I looked at him and his eyes were closed and there was a smile on his lips. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful sight. And I thought, okay, where is Brother Larry? He's missing all this. And I turned around to see if he was coming or not. And then I turned back and saw he was gone. And then, you know how your mind plays tricks with you, your doubtful mind. Then I began to wonder, did I actually see him or not? Did I see him or not? And then I thought, no, I touched his feet. I felt flesh. I felt his hand on my head. I did see him. So anyway, when Brother Larry came, I told him about what happened. And he said, yes, he did. He appeared in front of you. He wanted to, he did. I said, but there's lots of people here. They must have seen him. He said, no, that darshan was only meant for you. So only you saw him. So then when we went back to the hotel room, when I was contemplating, when I was in my hotel room, again thinking whether he really did appear or not, then I connected with Sathya Sai inwardly, and he said, you longed to see my physical darshan. I showed you my physical darshan of Shirdi Sai. He said, you longed to see the Sathya Sai form. I showed you my Shirdi form. There is no difference. It's one and the same. He said, the kind of love you have for me, you have to have that same kind of love for Shirdi Sai. So that was a huge revelation to me, even though I knew that the previous avatar was Shirdi Sai. But to know that there's no difference, and to me, Shirdi Sai is just as dear as Sathya Sai. There's no difference, and I'm so glad that we actually have a beautiful Shirdi Sai temple in Calgary. We do have one in Edmonton, but the one in Calgary I resonate to more because it is the identical replica of the Shirdi statue in Shirdi. Now, the gentleman who carved the Shirdi Sai statue that's in Shirdi, from that same mold, the Shirdi Sai statue that is in Calgary has been made from that same mold by the grandson of the gentleman that created the statue of the statue in Shirdi. So yes, so that's my experience. And every day I remember touching Shirdi Sai's lotus feet in Shirdi. And I thought, my prayer is, we have seen the physical form of Sathya Sai. With his grace, I saw the physical form of Shirdi Sai. My only wish is that before I leave my mortal coil, that with his grace, when Prema Sai declares his avatarhood, I have the grace to see that physical form too. Sai Ram.